Welcome back to the channel, coin lovers and treasure hunters. LA Coins World. Today, we are diving into a coin that you might have found in your change jar or piggy bank without giving it much thought. We're talking about the 1966 Washington quarter, a seemingly ordinary coin from a pivotal time in American coinage history. You've probably seen videos or posts claiming that a 1966 quarter could be worth $1.8 million. And maybe you're wondering if that could be true. In this video, we're going to explore the real history of this coin, what collectors actually pay for it, and whether any examples genuinely reach astonishing values like millions. Let's start with the history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The design features Washington's portrait on the obverse and a heraldic eagle on the reverse. It continued in that style for decades, becoming one of the most recognizable coins in everyday American currency. By 1966, the coin had transitioned from being struck in 90% silver to a copper-nickel-clad composition. This change had already taken place a couple of years earlier in 1965, as the U.S. Mint moved away from precious metals due to rising silver prices and a surge in demand. The 1966 quarter is made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, and it weighs about 5.67 grams, just like other clad quarters of that era. The 1966 quarter was produced in huge numbers. More than 800 million of these coins were struck, and because of that massive production, the vast majority of them are extremely common today. As a result, most 1966 Washington quarters you find in circulation are worth their face value of 25 cents and nothing more. So how do collectors assign real value to these coins? The key factor that drives value in almost any coin is condition. A heavily worn circulation example that's been rattling around in pockets and cash registers for decades usually trades for its face value. But if a coin has been preserved in exceptional condition, especially with strong original surfaces and original luster, collectors will pay more. Coins that are graded by professional services and certified in high mint state grades command premiums. For example, a high-grade MS-68 Plus 1966 quarter, which is nearly flawless and looks almost as if it just came from the mint, has been known to sell for around $21,000 at auction in recent years. That's an impressive amount compared to face value, but it's nowhere near the million-dollar figures you might see on social media. Collectors also look for rare varieties and errors that stand out from the millions of normal coins. Certain errors, like double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or unusual mint markings, can increase a coin's value above typical prices. Some examples of these error coins have sold for hundreds, or in rare cases, low thousands of dollars, depending on the severity and collector demand. Still, even notable error coins usually don't reach into the hundreds of thousands. You might find a double die reverse variety, or an off-center strike that's interesting to specialist collectors. But those coins typically bring more modest premiums compared to much older rarities. Another area that sometimes gets attention is special mint set quarters. From 1965 through 1967, the mint produced special sets with coins that have a higher quality strike and more appealing surfaces than regular circulation strikes. These coins are not proofs, but they were struck with more care for collectors. Certain special mint set 1966 quarters in high SP special strike grades have sold for several $1,000s, which is notable. But again, not anywhere near $1 million. So where do the stories about 1966 quarters being worth huge sums come from? The truth is that there are a lot of exaggerated listings, speculative videos, and misleading online claims that take rare outlier examples or hypothetical error coins and blow them up into sensational headlines. When most collectors or reputable auction houses look at real sales history, the highest documented prices for 1966 quarters remain in the range of tens of thousands for truly exceptional specimens. There is no verified record of an ordinary 1966 Washington quarter selling for millions or even close to $1.8 million. That kind of figure belongs more to internet buzz than to actual coin market realities. If you think you might have a valuable 1966 Washington quarter in your collection, the best thing you can do is carefully evaluate its condition and look for genuine anomalies. Start by examining the surfaces and edges. A coin with sharp detail, original luster, and no signs of heavy wear is more desirable to collectors than one that looks worn and dull. If you spot unusual doubling of letters, misaligned strikes, or something that doesn't look right, consider having the coin evaluated by a professional grading service. Professional grading not only authenticates the coin, but also gives it a condition grade that buyers and collectors trust when buying and selling. This can greatly influence the coin's market value. It's also important to be skeptical of sensational claims online. Many videos and listings promise eye-popping prices for ordinary coins, but those figures are often based on speculation, rare outliers, or outright misinformation. The real coin market is built on verifiable auction results, documented sales, and condition-based pricing. And for the 1966 Washington quarter, that means most coins are worth their face value, or only modest premiums in exceptional cases. So what's the bottom line on the 1966 Washington quarter? This coin has an important place in American numismatic history, marking the early years of the clad composition era. While most examples are common and worth only their face value, well-preserved coins and certain rare varieties can be valuable to collectors. Exceptional examples have sold for thousands of dollars, and rare error pieces can bring premiums as well. But the idea that a typical 1966 quarter is worth $1.8 million is a myth not supported by real auction records or expert evaluations. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the history and value of the 1966 Washington quarter, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more coin content, and ring the notification bell so you never miss another episode. Have you ever found an old quarter you thought might be worth something special? Tell us about it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. If you want a version with visual cues or editing suggestions, just let me know. Welcome back to the channel, collectors, history lovers, and treasure hunters. Today we're exploring one of America's everyday coins that you might have seen 1,000 times, and yet probably don't know the true story behind. We're talking about the 1979 D Washington quarter, a coin that's common in circulation, yet occasionally dramatic headlines claim it could be worth $1.7 million. But what's real and what's hype? In this video, we're going to uncover the true history of this coin, explain how collectors value it, and look at what exceptional examples have sold for in real auctions. History of the Washington quarter and the 1979 D issue. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to mark the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and over time it became one of the most familiar coins in everyday American life. By 1979, the classic portrait of Washington on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse had been in place for decades. That year, the Denver Mint struck nearly 490 million of these quarters, all bearing the small letter D just behind Washington's ponytail to show where they were made. These coins were struck from a copper-nickel clad composition, a departure from the earlier silver issues as the Mint changed to more affordable metals in the mid-1960s. Although this change removed precious metal content, it didn't make the coins any less useful in commerce, and they remained the standard 25-cent piece used every day. Because so many 1979 D quarters were produced, most you find in circulation are worth only their face value of 25 cents, even if they look surprisingly bright or new. These coins are abundant, and the Denver production is nearly as common as the Philadelphia issues from the same year, without a mint mark. Coin trackers, real market value for a 1979 D Washington quarter. So how much is a 1979 D quarter really worth in the eyes of collectors? For most coins that have been spent and carried around in change, their value remains right around 25 cents to $1 or $2 if they've just barely started to show wear. For uncirculated coins that were never used and still have strong original surfaces, values can rise higher, but even these normally only reach a few dollars to tens of dollars. Collectors refer to these pristine coins using grades such as MS60 through MS65 to indicate how well they've survived since they left the mint. Coin no. When you get into the high-grade territory like MS67, which means an extremely well-preserved coin with minimal marks and strong luster, prices rise significantly because very few survivors exist in that condition. Auction records show that a 1979 D Washington quarter, graded MS67, sold for just over $1,000 at a major auction in 2014. And similar high-grade pieces have brought premiums from serious collectors. Even rarer are coins graded MS68, which are nearly flawless with exceptional eye appeal. A 1979 quarter from the Denver Mint, graded MS68, actually sold for several $1,000s in a verified auction, showing that truly exceptional specimens can command serious money among dedicated collectors. Now let's talk about the big question many people have. Is it possible for a 1979 D quarter to be worth $1.7 million? The honest answer is no. There is no credible record in established numismatic auction history showing a 1979 D Washington quarter selling for anything close to that amount. The highest documented values for this coin, even for the most perfect examples graded MS68, remain in the low thousands range, not millions. Claims on social media or sensational video titles suggesting extraordinary seven-figure values are usually based on speculation, misinformation, or misinterpretation of rare error listings rather than verified sales. Real value in the coin collecting world is grounded in actual auction results and what collectors are truly willing to pay. Error coins and special varieties. Are there 1979 D quarters that are worth more than typical examples? Yes. Coins struck with noticeable errors or unusual characteristics do intrigue collectors, and some error coins have brought prices well above face value. Common errors include off-center strikes, filled mint mark anomalies, double strikes, and missing clad layer pieces. Depending on how dramatic these errors are and the coin's condition, they can sometimes fetch prices in the hundreds of dollars range, though only the most dramatic and certified errors ever rise into the low thousands. Coin No +1. These error varieties stand out because they are not typical coins. They were struck incorrectly or have unusual features that collectors find appealing. But even these coins have never been recorded as selling for millions. They remain important and collectible, yet priced according to the demand within the numismatic community, rather than inflated online claims. How to check your own 1979 D quarter. If you want to know whether your own 1979 D Washington quarter might be valuable, the first step is to examine its condition closely. Coins with bright original surfaces, sharp detail, and minimal contact marks are more collectible than those that look worn and dull. Next, look for any unusual features like mint mark doubling, significant off-center strikes, or missing sections of the clad layer. These clues can point to potential error coins that might be worth further investigation. If you think your coin is a rare find, consider having it professionally graded by one of the major coin grading services. A professional grade gives collectors confidence in a coin's authenticity and condition, and can significantly impact its market value. Why millions are not realistic. The coin collecting market is based on transparency and documented sales. Prices are not guesses or wild predictions. They are grounded in what collectors are willing to pay at reputable auction houses and private sales. Even the most exceptional modern coins rarely approach multi-million-dollar prices, unless they are historically significant rarities with extremely limited populations dating back a century or more. A 1979 quarter simply does not have that scarcity or historic status, which is why claims of values like $1.7 million should be taken with skepticism. So what's the bottom line on the 1979 D Washington quarter? This coin has a fascinating story as part of the everyday currency that helped shape life in America during the late 20th century. Most examples are worth only face value, or a bit more if they are uncirculated. Exceptional uncirculated coins have sold for over $1,000, and dramatic error varieties can fetch even higher premiums. But there is no verified record of any 1979 D Washington quarter selling for $1.7 million, or anything close to that figure. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the history and real value of the 1979 D Washington quarter, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another episode. Have you ever found a rare quarter in your change? Tell us about it in the comments below, and let's keep exploring coin history together. Welcome back to the channel, coin lovers and treasure hunters. LA Coins World. Today we are diving into a coin that most people have seen 1,000 times, but few truly understand. We're talking about the 1968 Washington quarter, a coin that looks ordinary in your change jar, but has inspired some of the wildest claims online, including posts that it could be worth $1.6 million. So what's real and what's hype? In this video we'll explore the history of the coin, how collectors determine value, and what truly rare examples have sold for, grounded in real collector market data. Let's start with the history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor America's first president, George Washington. The classic design features Washington's portrait on the front and an eagle on the reverse, and it became one of the most widely used coins in everyday life. By 1968, the United States Mint had already transitioned away from silver in its circulating quarters. Starting in 1965, rising silver prices forced the mint to switch to a copper-nickel-clad composition. That means the 1968 quarters were made of layers of copper and nickel, bonded around a copper core, giving them the familiar look and feel of modern quarters, but without any precious metal content. Unlike earlier quarters minted before 1965, the 1968 issues carry no silver value at all. Most quarters from this year were struck for everyday commerce, not rare collector sets. 1968 was also significant because mint marks returned to U.S. coins after a brief hiatus. For a few years in the mid-1960s, mint marks were omitted to discourage hoarding during a nationwide coin shortage. By 1968, the mint marks were back, with the Denver Mint using a small letter D on its quarters, and the San Francisco Mint producing special proof coins marked with an S. The Philadelphia Mint produced the largest number of regular circulation coins and placed no mint mark on those pieces. Now let's talk about value, the part that everyone wants to know about. If you have a 1968 Washington quarter in your pocket change, it's almost certainly worth only its face value of 25 cents right now, especially if it shows signs of wear. Most circulated examples were used as everyday money for decades and don't have significant collector value. But what if your coin looks especially crisp or uncirculated? Uncirculated quarters from 1968 that have never been spent and show strong original luster can be worth more than face value. Typical uncirculated examples might sell for a few dollars or even up to around $30 in collector markets, depending on condition and demand. For the Denver Mint's 1968 D quarter, certified mint state coins can fetch up to around $16 or slightly more if they exhibit very high quality. There are also proof coins struck at the San Francisco Mint in 1968 that are collectible. These proof coins were packaged for collectors and can be worth several dollars, with certain deep cameo proof examples selling for more when certified in high grade. So where do the big values come in? In the real world of coin collecting, truly rare top-graded examples of the 1968 Washington quarter have achieved remarkable prices at auction, but not millions. One of the most valuable 1968 quarters on record was a high-grade MS-68 example, without a mint mark, that sold for around $9,400 at auction in 2013. That price was for a coin that is essentially a nearly flawless specimen of a common year now decades old. A Denver minted MS-68 example sold for a bit under $9,000 at auction in 2016. These spectacular sales represent the very best examples of the issue. Not everyday coins you might find in circulation. Even error coins or unusual varieties of 1968 quarters, such as doubled dies, off-center strikes, or unusual planchet anomalies, while collectible and often worth more than face value, typically trade for values in the dozens to hundreds of dollars range, rather than in the millions. Collectors prize dramatic error coins, but there is no credible record of any 1968 Washington quarter selling for an amount close to $1.6 million in a verified auction. Claims of multi-million-dollar values circulating on social media or in clickbait titles are usually based on speculation or misinterpretation of rare outliers, and they are not grounded in actual auction sales data. If you want to know whether your 1968 quarter might be valuable, the first thing to do is examine its condition carefully. Look at the surfaces and edges. Coins with sharp details and original luster are more likely to draw collector interest than those that show wear or environmental damage. Look for mint marks and identify whether your coin was produced in Denver, Philadelphia, or as a proof in San Francisco. If you think you've got something special, a nearly flawless uncirculated coin or an unusual error, consider having it professionally graded by a reputable coin grading service. Professional grading can authenticate condition and often brings higher interest from serious collectors when the coin is offered for sale. It's also important to remain cautious about sensational claims online. Many videos and posts promise astronomical values for ordinary coins, but true coin value is rooted in what collectors are genuinely willing to pay based on documented auction history and market demand. So what's the bottom line on the 1968 Washington quarter? This coin has an interesting place in United States coinage history, marking the return of mint marks and the continuity of the copper-nickel-clad quarter. Most examples are worth face value or modest premiums in uncirculated condition. The rarest and most spectacular specimens have sold for thousands of dollars, but no authenticated example has sold for something like $1.6 million. Savvy collectors focus on condition, rarity, and verified sales records, not sensational internet rumors. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the history and value of the 1968 Washington quarter, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more coin content, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another episode. Let us know in the comments whether you've ever found an old quarter and thought it might be valuable, and we'll see you in the next video. If you want, I can tailor this script with visual cues, B-roll suggestions, or editing prompts to help bring your video to life. Just let me know. Welcome back to the channel, where we dive deep into numismatic mysteries and hidden coin treasures. Today, we're talking about one of the most commonly misunderstood coins in American coin collecting history, the 1980p Washington quarter dollar. We're going to explore its history, how much it's actually worth, and why some people talk about astronomical values like $1.5 million for a single coin. This story is full of numismatic twists and turns, and by the end, you'll understand why collectors find this quarter so interesting, and why most of them are still ordinary coins worth just a little more than face value. The Washington Quarter Series began in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The design was created by sculptor John Flanagan and featured a dignified portrait of George Washington on the obverse. The design was intended to be temporary, but became so popular that it stayed in production. Over the years, the composition changed from 90% silver to a copper nickel clad after 1964, as silver prices rose and the mint adjusted to modern economics. In 1980, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 635 million Washington quarters. This was also the first year the famous P Mint mark appeared on quarters produced in Philadelphia. Prior to 1980, most Philadelphia coins did not carry a mint mark, so the appearance of the letter P on a quarter is a notable first for the series. Because so many were made, and so many have survived in circulation, the standard 1980 P quarter remains one of the most common modern coins you can find in pocket change. Most of them today are still worth their face value of 25 cents. If you find one that looks especially nice and uncirculated, it might be worth a few dollars to a collector. Typical certified mint state examples sell in the range of a few dollars, up to around $10 or $20, depending on grade. Even the best circulated ones rarely exceed a few dollars in value. These are real market values based on auction results and coin guides. Collectors who specialize in modern coins know that a high-grade but ordinary 1980 P quarter might bring around $10 to $20 at most in perfect uncirculated condition. Examples graded at the very top levels by major grading services are rare because most were heavily handled, but they do exist and can fetch prices in the mid-four figures range in exceptional cases. One reported sale of a 1980 P quarter graded at an extremely high mid-state fetched around $10,000 at auction, illustrating how much condition matters. These coins are exceedingly scarce in perfect condition, and that drives collector interest and price at the highest tiers. So where does the idea of $1.5 million come from? The simple truth is that no verified 1980 P Washington quarter has ever sold for $1.5 million. The high values you hear about in online listings or sensational posts are almost always misinformation, wishful pricing, or clickbait designed to attract attention. There are no documented auction records from reputable houses showing a 1980 P quarter selling in that range. What is true is that rare error coins or unique pattern pieces from U.S. Mint history can sometimes sell for astonishing sums when they are truly one-of-a-kind or historically significant. Famous coins like the 1932 Washington quarter in perfect condition, or certain rare early U.S. gold coins, have achieved prices in the hundreds of thousands to millions at auction. These are historic rarities with documented provenance and extreme scarcity that go far beyond the typical modern Washington quarter. In the case of the 1980 P quarter, the types of rare pieces that do bring premiums include error varieties such as double dies, off-center strikes, planchet mistakes, or other minting anomalies. These pieces are interesting because they show something unusual that happened during production, and collectors prize them for their uniqueness. A double die error might show doubling of letters or numbers, and can be worth dozens or even hundreds of dollars, depending on its severity and condition. Quarters struck on the wrong planchet, such as a nickel planchet, have been documented and have sold for hundreds at auction, which is far above face value. Most of these coins are authenticated and graded by professional services, so collectors know exactly what they have. These kinds of error coins are fascinating and occasionally bring surprising prices, but even they are nowhere near the realm of $1.5 million for a 1980 P quarter. Understanding coin values requires attention to detail. Coins are graded on a scale from poor condition all the way up to perfect mint state condition. The higher the grade, the more attractive the coin is to collectors, and the higher the price it can bring. Coins with major errors or unique varieties are evaluated separately by experts to confirm authenticity and determine a fair market value. A standard 1980 P quarter in typical circulated condition remains common and worth approximately 25 cents. A mint state example in flawless condition can be valuable to collectors, but still usually remains in the range of tens to a few $1,000s. The story of the 1980p Washington quarter is a perfect lesson in separating fact from hype. Ordinary coins tell a historical story of everyday American life, while exceptional examples tell a story of rarity and collector fascination. Just because you see a coin listed online with an eye-popping price does not mean it actually sold for that amount, or that there is a real collector who will pay that price. So, if you found an old quarter in your pocket change, take a moment to look at it closely. See where it was minted. See how worn it is. And if it looks unusually beautiful or strange, then consider having it evaluated by a professional. But remember, value in the coin world is a combination of rarity, condition, and collector demand. The 1980p Washington quarter is a common coin with a fascinating history and a few rare error varieties, but the idea of a standard example being worth $1.5 million is simply not supported by real auction records. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoy exploring coin stories, history, and hidden values, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into the amazing world of coins. Let me know if you want this script tailored to a specific audience or optimized for search engines. Welcome back to the channel, where we explore coin history, hidden treasures, and the truth behind viral money claims. LA Coins World. Today we are going to talk about a coin that many people see every day, but few fully understand. The 1997p Washington quarter dollar. There's a lot of excitement online about rare coins and big values, and some videos even suggest that the 1997p Washington quarter could be worth as much as $1.3 million. But what is the real story behind this coin? Its history, its value, and what you should know before you believe those eye-popping figures. Let's begin with the history of the Washington quarter itself. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The design was created by sculptor John Flanagan and featured Washington's profile on the obverse. It was intended as a one-year tribute, but it became so popular that the United States Mint continued producing it for decades. The original coins struck through 1964 were made of 90% silver. After 1964, the composition changed to a copper-nickel clad because of the rising cost of silver. By the time 1997 came around, the Washington quarter had been circulating for more than 60 years and was a familiar sight in everyday commerce. In 1997, well over $500 million of these coins were struck at the Philadelphia Mint alone, making it one of the most common United States coins from that era. The Philadelphia strikes alone numbered nearly 600 million coins, and together with Denver issues, they helped supply change across the country. Because of these huge mintages, ordinary 1997p Washington quarters are extremely common, and you are far more likely to spend one at the store than to find a super valuable collector piece. So what are the values you can realistically expect if you find a 1997p Washington quarter today? In circulated condition, the vast majority of these coins are worth just face value, 25 cents, or very slightly more if there is above-average eye appeal. In uncirculated mint state condition, collectors will pay a premium for brighter examples that show original luster and no wear. Typical uncirculated values might range from a few dollars up to around $10 or $20, depending on grade and the buyer's interest. In rare high grades, coins certified by major grading services can sell for several $100s or more. There is even a documented example of a 1997p Washington quarter graded at MS67+ by a leading grading service that brought over $3,500 at auction. That sale shows how pristine condition can add substantial value even to high-mintage modern coins. Most average collectors, however, will find their 1997p quarters are not worth anything close to big 5 or 6-figure sums. The record auction results for this coin simply do not approach values anywhere near $1 million or more. These high-end sales are the exception, not the rule, and represent extremely rare specimens in near-perfect condition, certified by experts. Part of the reason that these coins have modest values is the enormous number that were made. With nearly 600 million produced in Philadelphia alone, the supply far outweighs the collector demand for most grades below premium mint state. Even Denver minted quarters from the same year, which have similar production volumes, remain common in circulation and usually only draw significant value in the top-graded examples. Because the vast majority of 1997 quarters were put into pocket change, paid out at banks, and used for daily transactions, they stayed common in the marketplace for many years, and most remain easily found today. Another factor that collectors look for are mint errors and unusual varieties. Error coins happen when something goes wrong during the striking process, such as the die being misaligned, a double die appearing on the surface, or a planchet that was incorrect for that coin type being used. Some of these error coins can be worth more than their regular counterparts, but the values vary widely based on how dramatic the error is, how rare it is, and how many collectors are interested. A double die error for a 1997 P. Washington quarter might sell for a few $100s in the most dramatic examples. An off-center strike or other mint anomaly can be collectible, but again, values tend to be modest unless the coin is truly unusual and certified by experts. Even in these cases, values do not come close to typical claims of millions of dollars for everyday circulating coins. It's also important to note that many of the sensational valuations you see online come from misleading listings, buy-it-now prices, or images that do not reflect actual completed sales. In the coin world, the value of a coin is determined by what it actually sells for at auction or in a verified private sale, not what a seller hopes it might be worth. Looking at real completed sales data from reliable auction houses is the best way to understand true market value. So if you find a 1997 P. Washington quarter in your change or in a collection, it is worth taking a closer look. A clean, uncirculated example could be a nice find and worth more than just face value. A coin in exceptional condition might be desirable to collectors, but most of these coins are common and worth modest amounts. The idea that a standard 1997 P. Washington quarter is worth $1.3 million is simply not supported by real-world sales and numismatic records. Collectors love coins because they connect us to history and tell fascinating stories about past generations and everyday life. The Washington quarter has been part of that story for nearly a century. Whether you're a beginner looking for your first valuable find, or a seasoned collector hunting for high-grade gems, understanding the real history and real market values will help you make better decisions and enjoy the hobby even more. Thank you for watching, and if you love uncovering the truth behind coin values and history, be sure to subscribe for more videos where we break down myths, facts, and exciting stories from the world of numismatics. Keep hunting, keep learning, and remember that sometimes the real treasure is the knowledge you gain along the way. If you want this script optimized for SEO with specific keywords or broken into chapters for easier narration pacing, let me know.